And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio. Out to the nation's capital, our great friend David Bozell from For America, foramerica.org. Joining us once again, of course, David's still number one on the Kevin Miller Power Index. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you? That's all I needed to hear today.
Well, we do our very best to start your day on the right side of things. And
I'm actually having a pretty terrible day. Trying to grow. I'm trying to grow a beard. Okay,
Right.
I'm trying to grow a beard, and I've lost my headphones, which is what I usually use to talk with the cell phone and everything.
Sure.
So now I got to press the cell phone up against my cheek, and these little hairs are like getting caught in the cell phone frame, and it hurts. And so I'm very annoyed. So the fact that I'm number one still with the Kevin Miller Show makes everything right as rain.
Well, we're all victims, so I'm glad you're overcoming. David, let's talk a little bit about the NFL. What has gone wrong with the NFL? We go to foramerica.org. You point out this story concerning the Super Bowl ad. The NFL gets it wrong again, but the NBA and NHL, they get it right?
Yeah, that was a surprise to us. We've got this little group called AM Vets. I had never heard of them. And they just did a print ad. There's a lot of confusion at the outset because a lot of people thought that the NFL had rejected a commercial, and it wasn't a commercial at all. It was a print ad that was to go into the program, into the game day program. And so the NFL rejected it, and pretty inexplicably. Look, it's their right. I got to sort of my libertarian bona fides come out of me. It is their right to do that, but it is our right to complain about it. And it is our right to give AM Vets the ad, the publicity that it deserves, and that's what we decided to do yesterday. We found the image of the ad. We blasted it across our Facebook and Twitter channels. We've got like 1.5 million plus eyeballs on the ad. AM Vets reached out to us privately. Very thankful for the exposure, and it was just a simple ad that had I think it was an Air Force color guard holding a flag, and it said #Please Stand. That was it, and it was kind of a text, an opportunity to text a donation to help their efforts to support veterans. And why the NFL rejected it? It's just they've got their heads. They continue to have their heads in the sand with regards to how the wind is blowing in this country with this issue. The NFL suggested publicly in a statement that had the group put please stand for our veterans, they would have kept it. But this just doesn't make any sense. I just think they're just making excuses. But kudos to the NHL and the NBA. The NBA is just raking in the money nowadays, and enjoying very strong ratings for making the decision to include that ad in their own programs for their All-Star games, respectively. So those guys, those leagues and their PR departments understand where the wind is blowing. The NFL continues to try to want to duck this issue or hope it goes away. And they've just made mistake after mistake after mistake.
Well, and we see the ratings going on. David Bozell joining us at KIDO Talk Radio from foramerica.org. Let's move on. What do you make of the tough guys that are running these sanctuary cities that do not fear the president withdrawing federal funds, saying, we'll take you to court? Now, David, you and I, we've got a little miles on the odometer. You remember when we all weren't required to wear seatbelts, and the Fed said, we'll take away your highway money. And then, lo and behold, everybody complied with seatbelt laws. What's going on with these sanctuary cities?
Base politics. The Democrats have been and continue to be totally disingenuous with regards to their motivations. They want open borders because they want a new voter electorate. And Center for American Progress, which is this left-wing think tank, admitted as much in a press release, in a memo, I guess like 10 days ago, in which they said the goal here is to try to get new voters. So these mayors of these sanctuary cities They're just playing base politics. And this is, we're still in the age of Obama in the sense that he turned elections upside down. He looked across the country and he said, I know conservatives outnumber me 2-1 in a lot of spots, but I'm going to get my base so fired up. I'm going to get my base in such a fervor, in such a lather, that I'm going to outwork you and I'm going to outvote you. And he did it twice. And we had McCain and Romney that,
Right.
Couldn't, they couldn't sell a bucket of water to a man on fire. And so there's just not a lot of enthusiasm within Republican conservative circles for either of those two gentlemen, and hence Obama won. Now, Trump has done the same thing. Trump has essentially followed that Obama get your base out model. Base wins elections. There is no such thing as, trying to, win over the middle. That doesn't really exist anymore. Everything's so bifurcated. And the tool that both gentlemen use, Obama and Trump, to do that largely was social media. And that's why Trump continues to use Twitter and other things, because
Hold on,
it
like
keeps his base.
at 4 a.m, there he is again. Oh my gosh, Trump said it again. I get those notifications.
Yeah, I know. For the West Coasters, it's got to be a little annoying if you're plugged in.
Yeah.
If you've got your phone programmed to whenever he does something,
Right.
to ding at you, that's got to be a little annoying.
It is.
You just got to hit the snooze on the President of the United States every once in a while.
David Bozell joining us, KIDO Talk Radio from foramerica.org. And it's funny, Mark Halperin, God rest him, before these allegations ruined his career, he and John Heilman wrote a book, What It Takes. And really, the fired up the base strategy, and Obama admitted to this, they got it from Karl Rove and Bush with that micro-targeting of, super serving your base. And it's interesting, as you point out, the idea of the middle doesn't exist because, again, another part of the book was how Clinton won, which was co-opting the middle. So let's move on. When we take a look at this CR that passed, okay, we're 4 months down the road, or we're 4 weeks down the road. What does it mean for, people in Idaho and across America that possibly we could have, oh my gosh, the government could be shut down again because we can't get a deal with the doctors and the dreamers?
If you depend on government, I suppose it means a good bit to you. If you don't, which I suspect much of independent-minded Idaho does not, it's not going to mean anything to you. No one's going to blink. In fact, nobody really did. You're not going to remember the 3-day shutdown a month from now, even if it happens again. This is where I would caution Republicans in spiking the, hey, we won the shutdown football. Voters did not punish Republicans for so-called shutting down the government in 2013 or in 1993. Voters, there's just no statistical evidence that to suggest that Republicans were punished. You have to apply that same methodology, that same thinking to Democrats. I don't think that they're going to get punished for, having the courage of their convictions to shut down the government. I'm of the opinion that shutdowns can be useful tools if you have courage of conviction. And the Democrats playing to their base. And what's interesting going forward is, a lot of their base is out for Schumer's head right now. They are furious because they think he sold them down the river. He sold out. That's good politics by Republicans, splitting the opposition's, divide and conquer. That's good politics. So in that sense, the Republicans have, something to be thankful for. But they got to be careful not to overplay their hand. It's just not going to be this. People aren't going to go in November and say, gosh, I remember when the government was shut down over the weekend in January. Who did that?
Right.
I hate those guys. I mean, that's just not the way these elections turn out.
Right.
Republicans have a lot of work to do. And there's 10 Senate Democrats that they could sort of kind of pick off. The map is very favorable to Republicans in the Senate in 2018. Very, very favorable, and I'm not sure that they're gonna pick off any one of those 10. For a variety of different reasons, but largely because the Senate, Republicans, have shown no courage of conviction.
Right.
And this is why the president has come out yesterday and said, I'm going to put my own bill together. And I know his team does not want to do this. They have been largely, they want to outsource legislation to Congress. And he's the consummate deal maker. Show me where the deal is. I'll go to where the deal is. And Congress has just shown a complete inability. I mean, for God's sakes, if you saw Susan Collins on CNN the other day, they have to use African talking sticks in meetings. I mean, it's the most juvenile thing. It's supposed to be the world's greatest deliberative body, and they can only meet behind closed doors and trade talking sticks. I mean, it's silly. They're babies. And so I think the president just said, you know what? If I've got to get an immigration package done, I've got to have my fingerprints on it. Even though I know and his team very much believes in co-equal branches, and they want Congress to figure this stuff out. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
David Bozell, foramerica.org. Good luck on the beard, and we always appreciate your work. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Anytime, Kevin. Good luck. Enjoy the weather.
Yes. Take care.
Yeah.
Our great friend, David Bozell. Let's get back to your phone calls, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. If you're just tuning in, last hour we referenced a story at KIDOTalkRadio.com of the white Prius, otherwise known in downtown Boise as the traffic enforcement vehicle. Joe, thank you for your patience. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Kevin. So my issue, not only is the taxpayers paying for this and raising taxes just to pay for this, also some of the workers down there, even building City Hall and, the surrounding area down there, we also have to pay for parking. And for small businesses, it gets expensive. Now you can do the pass that they provide if you buy it, if you can afford it as a company. But I mean, we're even the guys building the place down there, and we can't get parking without paying. It's ridiculous. And we're working 8-hour days. How do we compensate for getting a ticket, working 2 hours? It doesn't compute.
So, Joe, even the people that are building the elaborate skyline have to pay for parking.
Oh yeah, anybody. We've worked down there on the hotels, the museum, the City Hall over and over, and yeah, every single employee that works down there that parks down there has to pay for it.
So, do you enjoy paying for the parking in downtown Boise?
No, not at all. I mean, unless I'm down there shopping or something like that, that makes sense. But, if you're building the city, you should get some sort of pass, leeway, for smaller business, maybe a cut on the price, something, to compensate.
Well, I think if you're building the city, they should have some type of parking lot for your vehicles.
Exactly. And then, some of them, like Jump Time down there, they had a huge, dirt lot that was available for those guys. But still, some of them are limited to like one company vehicle per company or whatever it is, and you got a carpool, and that just doesn't work out either. It's just an inconvenience all around for everybody.
No, I would agree with you. It sounds like Bulgaria, not Boise, Idaho.
Exactly.
Joe, we appreciate your hard work, especially on days like this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate Joe talking about building the skyline in downtown Boise. And we always salute folks that do the real work. Those are the folks that are outside in this weather and when it's colder or when it's hotter. Very, very tough, hardened folks that make the folks here in the West very, very proud. Coming up next, though, we didn't really get a chance. We got into it at the tail end of last hour. So at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Again, back to this white Prius. That story available at KIDOTalkRadio.com. If you'd like to see the white Prius, it's equipped with cameras. It's equipped with a GPS. No, we're not tracking Al-Qaeda. No, we're not tracking the ranchers. We're tracking to make sure that folks pay the 2-hour parking, actually pay the 2-hour parking. And oh, by the way, if you're someone who has outstanding parking tickets, apparently it can read your license and ding ding. Do we have a ding ding? the trouble alert goes off, and all of a sudden, what happens next? Wait for it. Yes, wait for it. They'll know whether or not you paid your traffic tickets. Isn't this a little excessive? I'd like to hear from you next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Governor Phil Scott signed the bill Monday to take effect July 1st, allowing adults to possess as much as an ounce of marijuana, as well as 2 mature and 4 immature marijuana plants. The governor admits his signature comes with some reservations. He said in a statement that he believes what adults do behind closed doors is their choice, so long that it does not affect the health and safety of others, children in particular. Vermont becomes the 9th state to allow the legal recreational use of pot. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
And good morning, Kevin Miller here. No, we're not in Vermont, but hello to our folks listening on the brand new KIDO Talk Radio app, now available in the App Store and the Android Store. That's right, the App Store. If you would like to purchase it, it's free. That's right, it's free. And the great thing about the KIDO Talk Radio app is you can press a button, you can call in at any time. You don't have to dial, you don't have to have speed dial, and you can also just tap it, and you can listen to any of your favorite shows right here, including Sean Hannity, our newest edition, Lars Larson, George Norrie, Clyde Lewis, and the gang here at KIDO Talk Radio. So it's interesting. This is a debate that is uniquely Idaho, and since the legislature is in session at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, you have to wonder whether or not Idaho should fall in line. And if you've been listening to this show for months, years, days, minutes, you know that I'm against the idea of legalizing recreational marijuana. In fact, if you go to the Press Tribune, there were some folks that were arrested recently for marijuana. Now, a lot of people will say, well, Kevin, we're fighting a losing battle. Well, wait a minute. It's 9 states out of 41. And my argument to you is if 9 states do it, that doesn't mean that it's a national phenomenon. It's that we in the West need to get our act together. You look at of the 9 states that have done it, they're primarily in our neighborhood: California, Washington, Oregon, Colorado. I don't believe that Montana has done that yet, and certainly not here in the state of Idaho, as long as we have good, wholesome, conservative leadership. But get this. Idaho State Police arrested 2 people from Minnesota Wednesday after finding 120 pounds of marijuana. Now you're thinking, oh, they're just a bunch of young kids, maybe early 20s. No, Scott Hofer, he's 60. Mary Lindbeck, she's 55. Apparently, it was the 3rd drug trafficking arrest in the county, Cassia County, in 2 days. So we see people that still don't get the message. You've got another guy, 53. Apparently, marijuana is not the drug for young people. It's the drug for the older sect. You've got 50-year-olds transporting pot. You got this guy, Scott Halverson, 53, of Greenwood, California, arrested for hauling 10 pounds of pot. Ha! I mean, look, the state of Vermont wants to legalize it. It's the wrong move. Simply put, it's the wrong move. And we can debate, well, it makes us feel good and alcohol has a better lobbying thing. But in reality, brothers and sisters, in reality, it's against federal law. And we have something called the Supremacy Clause. And that means federal law is superior to state law. More on that in a minute. Time to get you to work. And Kevin Miller in the morning. Let's go to Harry in Caldwell with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Harry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
So, on the issue of pot smoking legalization, I'm a public educator, and I spoke with a gentleman that has worked as a superintendent and was a teacher in Oregon, and he pointed out that when pot is legalized, you can't really teach in that environment. Regardless of whether it's legal for kids or not, it had become so prevalent in Oregon that the kids are just coming to school stoned all the time, and they don't learn. So, this was a guy that's a liberal that I would have expected to be in favor of legalization that pointed that out to me, and I just thought it was a really good thing to keep in mind. I can bring up other stuff, but I'll let you go.
Oh, thank you, Harry. It's funny, nobody ever brings that up. The pro-pot people never bring up the stoned kids in Oregon. Let's go to Ronnie in Caldwell with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Ronnie.
Hey, dude, what's up? I am your expert when it comes to pot, right? So I'm gonna say this, dude. You're wound up way too tight about this one, and you need to just let this one slide by.
What do you mean by that?
It's exactly what I mean. You're all upset about it, and I can tell you're getting your panties in a wad, and it's just, come on, dude. It's just, I know. I haven't used that line in a long time. So, you know how I used to say that to my mom all the time? Because she would. She'd get all, Ronnie this, Ronnie that. But, dude, pot's not a big deal. I mean, it's sort of like the fun drug. Everybody can have a good time. It can't kill you, and it only makes you stupid for a little bit. And then when you're back to sober, everything's back to normal. You know what would be a good thing for you to do? I've seen it done on the YouTube thing. You could get stoned on the air just to check it out.
No, thanks.
And it might be a little late for you, but anyways, I just thought...
Well, no, you have people in their 50s that are selling drugs or hauling drugs across the state of Idaho. It seems to be people with, miles on the odometer are partaking in the wacky weed, but you've sworn off marijuana, correct?
Yeah, good to you, because I try to be more like you and
you
try
agree,
to be a good guy.
Right, and you agree that marijuana should not be legalized, correct?
Now, I think I've changed my mind on that, dude. I think it's okay now. But I still don't want to smoke it myself because it makes me sit around and I don't want to do anything. I just want to have fun. And, when you get older, you just need to be more productive. And I think I pretty much got stoned from about age 13 to 35 nonstop, most days.
And really, you're no worse to show for it. Ronnie, thank you for the call. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Let's find out what's happening in your world. Good morning, Maggie. And coming up, we'll continue our conversation about pot legalization in the state of Idaho. Heidi Harris will join us coming up as well. We go to the emails. You can always email me, Kevin at KIDOTalkRadio.com. Kevin, it's absolutely amazing to me why anyone in their right mind would go downtown. This is from our friend Jim. Unless they had to do any kind of recreating, given the political abuse that people get when they go. Of course, talking about the white Prius, the traffic enforcement vehicle that you can see in downtown Boise, driving around, and they actually have cameras that look at your wheels, cameras that determine whether or not you have overstayed your time in the 2-hour parking, and they have somebody driving around, and then they zap your plates. And all of a sudden, after they zap your plates, the high command dispatches the traffic enforcement police to make sure that you're paid. And if you're not, then you're going to be in trouble. Maybe big, big trouble. And as we were discussing before at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, I mean, the mayor of the city of Boise says it's a welcoming city. It doesn't seem very welcoming to business. And by the way, if you missed any of our show, you can go to our website and you can download the podcast and you can check out any hour. Many of you might have missed our conversation with former state senator Nicole Lefevre yesterday. You can check that one out. That happened in the 7 o'clock hour. Look, we would love for you to listen again and again and again, but we understand that you have things to do. Joining us now live from the White House. That's right, the White House, because KIDO Talk Radio is your proud home for Fox News on the radio here in the Treasure Valley. It's Fox News Radio's John Decker. John, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
It's funny. I caught the White House press briefing yesterday, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders had a couple words for you when we're talking about repeating things again and again, and it got a little chuckle in the room.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday, I mentioned, of course, that the president has spoken quite a bit about the idea that there's no collusion that took place between his campaign and Russian officials. And I think Sarah got a kick of the fact that I was repeating the mantra that the president and Sarah have said over and over again over the course of the past year.
Now, John, on a serious note, and I'm being facetious here, are the rooms still packed?
Yeah, it seemed yesterday hold on one second. It seemed yesterday it wasn't going to be as packed, but certainly by the time that Sarah took to the podium, it was as packed as always. A very big surprise. We're a year into this White House, and I've never seen anything like it. And also keep in mind that the cable channels still, broadcast live the briefings that are done by Sarah Sanders. So, look, there's still a lot of interest in this president, and with a good reason. He certainly makes news on a daily basis.
Never a dull moment. John Decker, let's talk about the new Fox poll on the first year of President Trump.
Well, we had a poll that was taken marking the president's first year in office, and some mixed results for the president for that first year in office. I'll give you a snapshot of what we found. The president's overall approval rating stands at 45%, 53% disapprove. That's an improvement of where those numbers stood just a few months ago. 86% of Republicans approve of the job the president is doing today, and that's virtually no change from a year ago. But the big problem for the president is the number I'm just about to tell you, Kevin. 35%, only 35% would vote to reelect the president. 56% would back someone else. So obviously those numbers are numbers that the White House should be concerned about and numbers that they can work on certainly this year and leading up to 2020.
Certainly everything going into the midterm. John Decker, anything we should be looking out for this week?
Well, the president will conclude his trip to Davos, Switzerland. Tomorrow, it's a 2-day trip, pretty quick trip. He's meeting with British Prime Minister Theresa May. He's actually already met with her. Right now, as we speak, he's meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Tonight, he hosts a dinner for European CEOs, encouraging them to invest in America. And then tomorrow morning, the president will deliver a speech at Davos, the World Economic Forum. And I don't know if you know this, but President Trump is the first sitting U.S. president to pay a visit to the World Economic Forum in 18 years. President Bill Clinton was the last president to do so.
John Decker, we always appreciate you. Thank you very much, and you have a great day.
Have a great day. Thanks a lot, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our great friend John Decker. Remember, KIDO Talk Radio, we exclusively go live to the White House and to Capitol Hill to keep you updated every morning, exclusively right here on your home for Fox News on the radio. If you're just tuning in, a few things we're talking about. The white Prius patrolling downtown Boise. It's a traffic enforcement vehicle with a lot of cameras and very efficient at welcoming you to pay more in parking. Of course, I don't think the city is hurting for this. And something we brought up about 20 minutes ago.
Governor Phil Scott signed the bill Monday to take effect July 1st, allowing adults to possess as much as an ounce of marijuana, as well as 2 mature and 4 immature marijuana plants. The governor admits his signature comes with some reservations. He said in a statement that he believes what adults do behind closed doors is their choice, so long that it does not affect the health and safety of others, children in particular. Vermont becomes the 9th state to allow the legal recreational use of pot. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Many of you believe Idaho should join the crew. I say no. Let's get back to you with me on KIDO Talk Radio. Hank, good morning.
Good morning. Basically, the car and the parking is a general pattern of the Beater administration just to raise fees clear across the board. This is typical Democrat administration. I mean, utility bill has gone up in Boise. You've got, every kind of fee that you can charge somebody, this administration is going to come up with. And he always likes to have the trolley car and make this city into a little miniature San Francisco. And when you look at Democrat rule in San Francisco or Detroit or any of these cities, look at how they handle the homeless, and notice how Beater handles the homeless. And as far as, then you have the flight of business. Once you get the taxation going, and once you get you're going to have, in a sense, Peters says welcoming city. Eventually, if we have enough entrenchment, we will have Boise turn into a sanctuary city just like Portland. I mean, the signs of a typical Democrat administration. And in the end, the city core is blighted. Look at Detroit. Look at San Francisco. What used to be a beautiful city is now practically trashed, and it smells like pee because the people, the homeless and the drug addicts are peeing in the streets. And we very much could have this happen to us in a number of years down the road if we have entrenched Democrat rule in our town. That's just typical Democrat rule. Look at New York.
Well, getting back to this vehicle, isn't that a little extreme?
Well,
driving around to make sure that people pay their parking tickets. Really?
Well, it makes it difficult. This is what would cause eventually the flight of business from Boise. In other words, if they jack fees and make it as inconvenient as possible, people are going to be looking for other places that don't have all the thing. But that's typical. There's never enough for a Democrat administration. There's never enough money. So whatever money they can extract, they will do so. And I think that the car is symptomatic of this. They're not satisfied with just what they want. There's never enough in a Democrat. And Beater's typical administration, and we, in a sense, he's the harbinger of what can happen to Boise, just like what happened and what has definitely happened to San Francisco.
All right, Hank, thank you for the call. Let's go to Pro-Life with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pro-Life.
Yeah, I've been listening quite a while. In the 6 o'clock hour, you were talking about Dr. Larry Nassar abusing gymnasts, girls that were under his care. There's really a greater abuse, and people don't really talk about it, and that is when an athlete, mostly college athletes, maybe even some high school athletes, they get pregnant or they get someone pregnant, then what does the coaches, the administration, what do people do? Do they just be quiet and let the person murder their baby through abortion?
Well, I think really what it comes down to is, can you live with yourself? And when we talk about Jerry Sandusky and people are saying, well, he was a coach and we didn't want to lose our jobs. And I'm thinking to myself, it would be a difficult decision, but if you see a crime going on and people aren't going to do anything about it, then maybe it's time for you not to be a part of that operation. Now, maybe you go work at the mall. Maybe you go work somewhere else, but you live with yourself instead of being, selling yourself out.
Yeah, exactly. That's why every person that's in athletics, and somebody's a real important part of a team, and say that girl gets pregnant, what's she going to do? Is she going to kill her baby, or is she going to
I think that's
get pregnant and have the child?
Well, as always, you're very creative in getting to your topic.
Yeah.
That you care about. That's why they call you Pro-Life. Thank you for the call, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. More of your calls coming up next. We'll talk a little bit more about marijuana and the white Prius. Maybe we should have a white Prius watch in downtown Boise. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning, blessed to be a part of your day. Don't forget the Canyon County Kids Expo is this Saturday. We would love to see you there. Let's go to Cindy, who wants to talk about pot. Cindy, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Well, it's only a rebuttal since you do like to offer those an opposite opinion. And I just want to thank all those yesterday who tried to call in to that tragically. I just was so sorry about that whole dialogue, but I agree sometimes you have to listen to the other side of the story, like with the pot, to see what the agenda is. So I agree with you. If people want to hear what that person said yesterday about her views on race and immorality and everything else, go to your website. It was a classic case of a unregenerated spirit liberal, and I applaud all those that called in and tried to stand strong with the righteousness that once was in this country. And the same goes for this THC. I will have to say I liked what Dr. Tommy Alquist had to say. Right off the bat, he didn't miss a heartbeat, and he said no. Yes, states have sold out. I started collecting articles now on THC marijuana because it was futile in the state of Washington to go to council meeting after council meeting in town and present facts on, THC. I have, some from the papers around here, what's happened now, how we have, now let's make our Border Patrol agents have more of a problem because of California's stand. And I mean, some of the articles are so ridiculous, I can't even read them. A woman gets pulled over, the dog smells the pot, the woman apologizes because it was a week ago, she said, that the smell was still in the car, that the dog smelled the pot, but she wasn't recently smoking. It's so ridiculous to think, at least Ronnie's honest, it hangs around up in your brain for days and days. For adolescents, it's the one THC that can flip them over the edge to schizophrenia. So come into the emergency rooms, people who want it. Go into the psych units that I've worked with adolescents to see when a doctor and ER said, yeah, you see them chewing on their hands. It's tragic. And here we have California. How about this? THC, the psychoactive drug, is now being used in wine and tacos. This nation, you don't have to take it down necessarily by a liberal agenda, but just continue to dumb it down. And then we have Nampa, gains a new opiate treatment center. Marijuana has always been a gateway drug. I'm with Tommy Ahlquist 100% on this and all the other legislators that will stand strong like you, Kevin, sometime like in the movie 12 Strong. You got to go for the charge and continue to push back. Because exactly what you said, if you want to study on the other side, go to your website. Listen to that woman yesterday. An unregenerated spirit will purport every kind of a degradation. And this, I think, is one thing I will stand strong to push back against any use of a drug can't recreate. A kid knows in VeggieTales, the pickle doesn't talk. The drug is up in your brain. It's a psychoactive drug that the politicians, they sell out to the big lawyers and for money, and that's exactly what they did. I was so sick of going to Bellingham, I was purporting facts. And a fact yesterday that woman you had on, that I could barely listen to her, no, that is not true with mutilating your body. In Sweden, when they've done all these operations, this is just a fact that 17 years later with longitudinal studies, they're still having a 17% more higher suicidal rate.
Right.
So I'm just going to go now, but here we go again with the marijuana deal. So stay strong and press on, Kevin.
God bless, Cindy. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Traffic and weather together. And we go to Jim in Star with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Jim.
Millie, yes, Cindy's right. Cindy, that was a great call, and yesterday was a phenomenal show. When you had Nicole DeFever on there yesterday, with the professional victim, I got to say this: never trust a woman with a cleft chin.
Now, come on, we don't personally attack people. We want to thank former state senator Nicole DeFever for coming on, and we would encourage her to come back. And if you personally insult somebody, then they won't. We need to expand the dialogue. I thought it was a great show. We urge people to go to the website and check it out, the 7 o'clock hour yesterday. I thought it was pretty good.
It was great. She hates men, though. I mean, she just hates
Well, now you're putting words into her mouth. Now, what can we talk about? You wanted to talk about the white Prius. Is that correct?
I do. Here's what I want to say. If I could, I would take everyone here in Idaho that's never really – I mean, I had neighbors in Meridian. They both grew up in Caldwell and Nampa. That's where they were born. And they had never even been to McCall. 35 years old, they've never been to McCall. So what I'm getting at is a lot of people here haven't gone far and haven't seen a lot. And with Beater at the helm and the things that are going on downtown in Boise, with all the traffic crap, all the shove the bikes down your throat. I'm a bicyclist myself, and all the sanctuary city stuff. They are destroying downtown, and it's gonna spread like cancer. And it's exactly how guys like Jerry Brown and the Gil Garcettis and the Gavin Newsoms of the world, which it's California politics. I've seen all that in action, Kevin. So have you. It doesn't work, and it's going to ruin the great place that we have here. And I just would hope people on both sides, left and the right, both sides, look at it. It's not good for us. So That's what I wanted to say, and thanks for bringing it up.
Better a white Prius than a white Bronco.
Yeah, Bronco. Remember those days? Oh my goodness, where were you when were you broadcasting out of Pittsburgh back then? Where were you?
Nashua, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, huh?
I believe so.
Amazing. Yeah. I can remember it. We were jet skiing on the Colorado River, and all of our girlfriends were waving at the dock like in a panic, like get over here. And we came over, and there was probably 15 of us that watched that Bronco chase on a small little TV.
The story of our lives. You were having a good time, and I was working. Still consistent today. Jim, thank you.
Yes, sir, buddy. See ya.
Kevin Miller in the morning. Heidi Harris next. Can't wait to hear what she has to say. KIDO Talk Radio.